Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Welcome to this thing that we do whenever a
A console dies.
Rip.
rest in peace. So this time around, we're doing it for the 3DS because it is officially ending production after 8 long years of wonderful memories.
I
Came
don't
out in,
remember a thing.
came out in March 2011, actually. So it's been just about 8 years now. It launched at what, $250 at the
Yes.
time?
Way
Yeah.
too expensive.
So we're just gonna go around and there's a couple of things we're gonna talk about before we get to the games. We've got a long list of games that we're gonna talk about because I mean obviously what's a console without the games? But we do want to talk about the system itself, different features that it had that we liked. The 3DS, like any Nintendo handheld, had a ton of different models, so we're gonna talk a little bit about each of those. But let's go around the table. Jack, me, Justin land in order as we usually do. Jack, when did you first get a Nintendo 3DS, and what was your experience with it?
I got it for my birthday, which was about a month after it came out. And I got with it Super Street Fighter 4 3D and Rayman 3D. And I spent not very long on those two. I beat Rayman and I played Street Fighter for a little while, but it was pretty much just a DS machine until the Ocarina of Time remake came out a couple months later. Um, I don't regret getting it right away, but then again, I didn't pay for it, so you know. But uh, yeah, I mean, I don't have much else to say. It was the first year was a little dry for games until it got closer to the end when stuff like Mario Kart and Mario 3D Land came out, but we'll get to those. Um, so yeah, that's I mean overall, like, it was a great system, like lifetime wise, but the first year was pretty slow.
For me, I first got my 3DS. So funny story. In August of that year, 2011, Nintendo announced that there would be a price drop to 170 in order to try to get people to buy the system because they were going to start hitting out the big guns. They were going to get the 3D Land out, they were going to get the Mario Kart 7 out, and they already had stuff like Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D out that they really wanted to push more people to get these games, but the system was $250. So a lot of people really were not on board with a $250 handheld, so they announced this price drop, but Walmart, these idiots at Walmart decided we're gonna drop the price a week early. And I remember All Out Nintendo, there was this one user who was an officer there at the time, Shy Guy Red. He ended up pointing out to me, he was like, hey, you should probably go to your local Walmart because they already dropped the price early. And I went there and I got my 3DS and a copy of Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D that same week before the price drop was supposed to fully take effect uh, across all retailers. So I got that and I got the Ambassador games. I also got Super Street Fighter 4 3D shortly after that. So I was mostly playing just the Ambassador games and the 3D remake ports of those two games that I mentioned until 3D Land and Mario Kart 7 would come out later in that year. Like Jack said, it was a slow year. I tinkered with some of the different features, like Face Raiders was pretty interesting. Doing stuff like Find Me and like the other stuff that you could do through Street Pass Plaza was pretty neat to toy around with before all the games came out. We'll get to that with the features section, but it was pretty nice to go there. I wanted to get a teal one, but they ran out of teal, so I just had to go with the black one. Uh, Justin, tell us about how you got your first 3DS.
Wait, you said that it was a funny story. Where's the punchline?
I say funny story all the time, and I typically don't mean that it's actually funny.
You lied. This video is a lie.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
Bop. Anyway, Justin.
Justin died.
What?
It's your turn.
Tell us about how you got your 3DS.
Well, I got the Awakening 3DS because I wanted to actually play a Fire Emblem game because I had never done so, and I got the special edition thingy maboober because I don't know. I figured if I was going to get a 3DS, it was going to be in style. Ended up picking the last one, so I guess I got really lucky there.
Oh, nice.
I got the poor man. Well, I say poor man, but you know that's still a nice 3DS to have. But I got the poor man like small one because the bigger one was just a little bit too expensive for me. And for the longest time, that was literally the only game I had for it until we started buying other 3DS games. I don't have a huge collection of 3DS games, but what I do own, I do play regularly. And I do think, you know, it has a really good library, even though I probably didn't even experience like half of it. At the same time, though, a lot of, you know, like, I'm not 100% sure what was the point of the 3D function, because I did try the 3D function just to see what it would look like, and it hurt my eyes more often than not. And I just couldn't leave it on for very long because it's just hard to look at. So I don't really understand what the point of the 3DS or the 3D part of the 3DS was, but beyond that, I thought it was a pretty good handheld.
And Landon, when did you get your first 3DS?
I got mine for my birthday the year it came out. By itself. Nothing else. I had no games to play on it until Tetris Axis came out in September of that year. It was a hellscape.
That's 5 months of not owning a game.
Well, I had Face Raiders to play, and every single DS game I owned. So
That's true. I also played some DS stuff on my 3DS while I was waiting for other games to come out.
there's that. Also, because, you know, there was literally no games that came out for it until Tetris Axis, the 3DS's first game to come out.
The 3DS's magnum opus, really.
Yes. One would say. Like Jack just said.
Which is exactly why we're not talking about it in this video.
RIP.
It's too good for our list of games. It transcends the list itself.
It transcends time.
So the 3DS, as with any other Nintendo handheld, has gone through like fucking a million different iterations. There was the original 3DS models, which had like this glossy covering, and they were about the same size as a DS Lite. That was the base model. And then later on, we got the 3DS XL, which would be like the popular model that you'd have. It was like $199. Yeah, because it came out after the price drop, so it was $199. Then you could get the regular one for $169. Then they introduced the 2DS models, which I believe were originally were they only in America first? Or was it only in Japan and America? Because I know that there was a region that didn't get 2DSs at first.
No one knows.
Whatever the case, those released at like, I think 120. And those typically came pre-installed to the game. They don't have the 3D, obviously, because it's a 2DS. They went back to a slate design, kind of like a Game Boy or a Game Boy Advance, except not that similarly shaped, but you get the idea.
Imagine a door wedge. That's about as
imagine
useful as it is.
Like that.
It looks like a piece of stale bread. And then after that, we got the new models, which started with the XL, and in Japan there was the base 3DS, new 3DS model. We didn't get the base 3DS models at first. We got a couple versions. Those actually have interchangeable faceplates, so harder to come by. Most of the time, you would just see new 3DS XLs, and then they introduced really late in its lifespan the new 2DS XLs, and each of these serves caters to different needs for different players. But yeah, there's 6 versions of this thing. Jack, which ones do you have?
I own the. I still own all of them. I own the original model in a teal or blue, whatever it is. I have the original XL model in the special Year of Luigi model. It was like it came bundled with Dream Team, and it has Mario and Luigi on the outer shell. And the one that I have been using for the past 4 years ish is the Majora's Mask gold model of the new 3DS XL.
Nice. I own currently 2 different 3DS models, but I have owned 5 different kinds, actually. The only one I have not actually owned is a new 2DS XL. I have at least owned one of each of the other ones. I started with the regular one when I got the 3DS at first. I got a new 3DS XL shortly after those had come out, and I gifted the base 3DS to my cousin. Then I wanted to go back to the smaller 3DS just because I feel like I like the size better. My hands are small, and I like the crisper screen because the XLs just kind of stretch the pixels. So I got a base new 3DS, and I gifted the XL to a friend because she has bad eyesight. Then someone gifted me their Pokemon XY 3DS base 3DS XL, and then I gifted that to someone else, and I currently also have a 2DS on the side. So I have the 2DS and I have the new 3DS, but I gifted the other 3 away. Justin, I'm pretty sure you just have the Fire Emblem Awakening one, and that's it.
Yeah, I don't have any other model.
All right, and Landon, what about you?
I own Cosmo Black. It's his fucking name. Say it right. You jerks. Original
I'm
model.
sorry.
3DS. I own an NES edition 3DS XL, both of which are dead paperweights. And now I play on God's gift to gaming, a black new 3DS. It has Mario and Luigi and some other things. I also have some Blastoise plates and some Animal Crossing plates.
Nice. All right. Now we're going to talk about the features of the 3DS. We talked about the 3D. Justin touched on the 3D functionality. Does anybody else want to add anything about the 3D functionality? I used it.
It's been removed mostly from newer release games because, oh wow, it's pointless.
In most situations, it's pointless because developers don't really bother with it anymore. There was a couple games that took advantage of it, but it wasn't necessary. And also, a lot of the newer games they require more out of the 3DS's power, and turning the 3D on oftentimes sacrifices that and makes the game run really bad.
Yeah, this is especially apparent for games that already use a lot of the hardware power. So if you turn on the 3D, it lags like a motherfucker.
Yeah. Oh god, it's so bad with the Pokemon games. Like, I can't even.
Because I think Monster Hunter is pretty resource intensive, so if you put on the 3D, it runs like shit.
What else do we want to talk about? There was Miiverse.
Rip.
Rip.
Yeah, there was Miiverse.
Down in the bottom comments below, press F to pay respects to Meavers, your old friend, in shitpost form. Rip.
The 3DS also had a Street Pass, Spot Pass, where you could get notifications that would give you like extra content if you connected to like other 3DS systems. Also give you news and stuff on anything that was gonna happen with any of your games or upcoming games and stuff like that. I don't know if anybody wanted to talk about Street Pass, Spot Pass.
I can't really because I really got to use it.
Street Pass was cool because I could make puzzles.
I never used it very much.
You are dead to me.
I'm sorry. I tried. I really did. But, like, I had so few opportunities where, like, I was in a place where I would, like, cross paths with people that also owned 3DSs. And, like, that was pretty much my only consistent opportunity was, like, the 1 year of college that I attended. And it was always, like, the same 6 or 7 people every day.
Yeah, I started off strong with the Street Pass stuff. Because despite the fact that the 3DS sold relatively well throughout its lifespan, there was like everybody was trying out all the features of the 3DS obviously when it first came out. So when in its first year or so, couple years, a lot of people were carrying their 3DS around. So it was pretty easy to do Street Pass and stuff. But afterwards, like it was kind of hard to find people walking by with one. So after a little while, I kind of stopped. There was also themes. You could get different themes for your 3DS, kind of make it your... Yeah, Landon, I can hear you. You want to talk, so I'm gonna let you talk about them.
Oh my fucking god! Why is this not on the Nintendo Switch? I can buy myself a Shantae and the Pirate's Curse theme, and then it makes the noise on it, or it's a Game Gear, and then I have a 30-second loop, or like 5-second loop, of the same Sonic 8-bit fucking music, and then it changes my folders, and I want it.
Speaking of folders,
everything.
You can add in about folders if you want to.
Oh, there's folders, you can organize things. There was the badge arcade thing, and you could make little displays on your homepage. God.
Yes, being able to customize your home screen on the 3DS, they gave you plenty of options. Jack, did you want to add anything about that?
It's neat.
I have permanently switched to the Pokemon Gold and Silver themed one. I love it. I just love the fact that it uses the music and sound effects and stuff from that, and I like the old Gold and Silver Ken Sugimori art that they have plastering the background of the home screen. It's nice. Justin, did you want to say anything about themes, folders, and stuff?
I used the folders. I think I remember seeing the update that added the themes, but I think I looked at it once, never touched it again, and then forgot it existed.
But Justin, you could download a Sonic Boom theme for free and stare at Knuckles, the Chris Redfield.
I think I did download the Sonic Boom thing. I don't actually remember if I applied it or not. And like I said, I just forgot the whole theme thing existed.
How could you? How dare you?
Because I'm very forgetful.
Oh, okay.
I guess the last major feature that I can think of that I'd like to talk about before anybody else adds in whatever else they'd like to talk about, is the 3DS had a very robust eShop. There was plenty of stuff through Virtual Console, just 3DS digital exclusive games that you could get, just a shit ton of stuff that you could do. They had deals left and right all the time. I bought so many games through the eShop, actually. Like, the 3DS eShop was like my main introduction to buying digital games. Because before that, I was pretty much an all-physical person when it came to games, and I still, like, got a lot of 3DS games physically. but without the 3DS and just the amazing eShop that it had, I don't think I'd have gotten so much into buying games digitally and going onto an online store for a console to get games. Anybody else want to talk about the eShop while we're there?
I don't really have anything to add. It's neat.
Neat.
Neat. It functions like
Yeah.
I would want an eShop too, and it has a
My
you know, one thing that we
rolling
one thing that they
through-
never actually did was back in the early days of the 3DS, if you had bought a 3DS before they dropped the price, Nintendo had the Ambassador program where they would give you 10 GBA games for free. Completely
Those were
for
the
free.
only ones.
And they said they would add more GBA games to the eShop in the future, but they never did. So
Here's
those
why.
10 GBA games are the only GBA games in existence on the 3DS eShop.
And
you
funnily
can't even
enough,
buy them.
from what I
Yeah,
heard
yeah.
too, is that the GBA games are technically running off hardware that the system actually has. So if they really wanted to, they could have like made it possible to play other Game Boy Advance games. They just didn't do it.
Oh well.
Yeah, I think that about covers any of the features, unless there was anything else anyone want to add.
No.
No,
No.
Jack, no, good.
No.
All right. Since this first part's gone on pretty much long enough, I think we're going to devote the entire second part to talking about the games. So thank you for joining us with this part where we talk about our introduction to the 3DS and all that it had to offer. But we will see you in the next part when we go through the deep dive into the list of 3DS games we have to talk about.
Oh, should I go get all 80 of my physical copies? Is that what
You
we're
can if
diving
you
into?
want.
We're gonna dive into that? Okay.